Okay, Holmes, the cruise industry is known for its dynamic challenges. What was one of the toughest decisions you have had to make as a leader? Toughest decisions?
Well, it was the end of festival cruises. I was in Egypt at the time, and we had one ship arrested because I was in charge of all the onboard revenue and all the tour operations and shore excursions. But there was a financing issue in the background. It was nothing to do with what we were doing, but consequentially affected us. And one ship got arrested. And then when one gets arrested, they go down like dominoes. And I got a call from the chairman saying, you've got to get on the ship. You're in Egypt and the ship's in Egypt. I said, I'm going anyway, but you got to go there now because you have to stop it being arrested. I mean, how do you figure that out, you know? So I remember speaking to our agent and saying, look, you can't, you know, I need your help. I need you to help me get the ship out, yeah? And so we sailed the ship out. We did get out of Alexandria at the time. And then on board, we had to figure out what to do. So we went to Limassol, which was the next port.
Oh, you managed not to arrest the ship?
No, we didn't get arrested in
You sold the ship?
Alexandria. No, but it's a long story.
Okay, let's not get into that.
We got from Alexandria and then it went to Limassol.
Limassol, okay.
And then I managed to close the port in Limassol and figure out what to do because our chairman was the ambassador of Cyprus to the Vatican, and Limassol being the main port in Cyprus. And then we decided, you know, we would do our best to get back to Venice. And we had all these different challenges along the way, and the guests on board. It was a very difficult situation, you know, because the guests could realize something was wrong and there was all sorts of complaints. But, you know, I've been with these crew because these same crew were on the Bolero with me, a lot of them. Okay. And, you know, they trusted me. And there were moments I said, look, whatever happens, we have to stay together and we focus. We have to take care of these guests. It's not, you know, and we made sure that every guest got an insurance report and we gave them the best experience we could under the circumstances. And we have to get the ship back. And then I have to get cash because the company's going down and I have to pay the crew. And I want to make sure the crew get their money, you know. So I made 50% sale in the shops for cash, 50% sale in the spa, you know, everything was at 50%.
Yeah.
Cancel your account for 50%. And then they even upped it at one point. So, and I had everybody, I said, I don't want any variation of the story. This is the narrative. This is how we are. This is what it is. And everybody, I was so proud they followed. And whatever the challenge, they followed, you know, and we worked together as a team. And we got the cash in and we paid all the crew. And then we moved the crew from that ship when we got to Gibraltar because it was a planned arrest in Gibraltar by the bank itself.
Oh, okay.
That was the plan. Yeah. Get the ship somehow to Gibraltar. But you got to offload the passengers first. True. So this was almost impossible, but we did it.
Where did you disembark the crew?
We disembarked the passengers in Ravenna. In Italy. It should have been Venice.
Yeah, you told me.
If we'd gone there, we got arrested. So we went to Ravenna. We brought the buses round and we bussed everybody back.
And now only the crew on board and Gibraltar.
Yes, and we had to leave very quickly. You know, it was a very difficult time. And that's another book, that whole story.
Yeah, of course.
Also with the banker, we're going to do that together because he was guiding me from his side and we were working together with the captain and the crew. But it was a moment when you realize that leadership counts.
Yeah, for sure.
And if the people trust you, however high or big the challenge, you can do it together.
Do it, yeah.
And on board a cruise ship, the greatest acid test of a team is when things go wrong, you know, because you're at sea. And if you work together, you can make it happen, you know, and we did. And that's what I think was one of my defining moments of leadership, overcoming that, almost the impossible, and still getting the ship to
I still have this
Gibraltar.
question. How did you manage not to get arrested in Alexandria?
The agents help,
Yeah.
and a port agent is very important.
Yeah.
And, the getting away early, because the agent himself could have arrested, but we have been working together all the years, and I'm still a great friend of mine now. And we, all those years were remembered, those years of collaboration, those years of support. And he supported to allow the ship to go. And, it worked. We got out. But the same thing happened in Limassol.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened in Crete.
Crete,
I had to do it the whole itinerary.
From Limassol to Crete you went, yeah?
Yes.
And
but
then
it should
to
have been
Revan.
Alanya. But I got a tip of don't go to Alanya.
Oh, okay.
From my friends in Alanya. So we went to Crete.
So maybe the agents in Alalia, they know that something is...
Yes, and also it was supposed to go to Piraeus, but we realized something could happen there, so we went to Crete. And anyway, there were storms around.
Must have been very difficult to convince the passengers that we are changing the port so often.
Impossible, almost, and... But also there were storms around, so...
Yeah, you had a reason.
We had one, and it was it was in the winter, it was in January in the Mediterranean.
Must be cold,
so
yeah.
It was a very difficult cruise, but I got entertainment to do more shows than usual. We gave free champagne.
You had to
we
somehow manage
did
the
our level
experience.
best to give the guests. But when
Good
they
experience,
complained, at one point it was almost impossible. So we had multiple nationalities on board. So we did it like Noah's in the Ark. We took two people for each nationality to represent them, and we opened the book and told them what was happening, and we tried to reason with them, and we also had a technical issue on the ship at the same time. It was everything going wrong, but we held it together. And the guests say we went hardly to anywhere that the ship was supposed to go. The weather was terrible.
Yeah.
Great crew.
Great crew.
When you see
It's all about experience. Yeah, true.
It was amazing.
True.
So, we worked hard to make sure the guests were safely offloaded, and that we could disembark them in a great way, that we could provide the transportation for them, because all of that was provided. And then we could sail the ship. We had to go very slowly from Ravenna to Gibraltar. And it took us 6 days because we had hardly any fuel. We couldn't stop for fuel.
Running economy, yeah. Okay.
So it was unbelievable what happened in this day and age. And for 10 years, I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because of legal reasons, but now we can, and we'll make a book one day about it, because that experience. But that the leadership qualities required to do that at that time was nigh impossible. So this was the acid test for me.
Interesting. Okay, let's move to the next one. You worked with multiple cruise brands. What differentiates a successful cruise company with an average one?
The people. At the end of the day, a ship is a ship. The facilities, the services, the cabins are pretty much all similar. There are differences, and they make big issue about the small points of differentiation that there are. But what makes the difference is people. So the differentiation is how you treat your crew. Crew, as we learned in COVID, are essential workers, but on cruise ships, they're quintessential workers.
Yeah.
You need fantastic crew, and you need to treat them well, and you need to give them a career path. You need to train them, motivate them, mentor them. And those cruise lines, they get that right, and then blend it with a great product, they're successful. Those cruise ships that look at the crew as a commodity,
Crew is a crew.
they fail.
Yeah.
They get the crew cheaper. They don't really or training too expensive, and safety, because again, the crew are going to take care of your safety as well. At the end of the day, who's taking care of the safety?
True.
It's people.
People.
Whether in the deck, the engine, and every crew member has a safety role. So I still think that most cruise lines are underinvesting on the crew. And I went heavily into that because I used to run a company and we trained 75,000 crew for different cruise lines. And those spent the most money on investing in their crew are the most successful. There's no doubt about it. But part of that is you still have to challenge them and you still have to motivate them and give them a career path and make them feel part of something.
Yeah.
And then they'll come contract after contract and deliver and deliver.
True.
And so the difference is the people at the end of the day. And there's not even a question about that.